A life-changing decision. Imagine waking up in a new country every week, meeting people from all over the world, and experiencing breathtaking places like Alaska and Spain. Sounds like a dream, right? But what if I told you that just a few years ago, I didn't even speak English? Andrew had always wanted to see the world, but one thing was holding him back. He couldn't understand or speak English. Without it, his dream of working on a cruise ship seemed impossible. But one day, everything changed. Chapter 1: The Distant Dream. Andrew had always dreamed of traveling the world. He imagined himself walking through the streets of Paris, seeing the northern lights in Alaska, or enjoying the beaches of Spain. But there was one big problem: he didn't speak English. Living in Brazil, he felt like the world was out of reach. He would spend hours watching videos of people working on cruise ships, meeting people from different countries, and visiting beautiful places. Every time he saw those videos, he felt inspired, but also frustrated. How can I do that if I don't even speak English? He thought. At that time, English felt like a wall between him and his dream. He had learned a few words in school, but he couldn't understand real conversations. Every time he tried to watch a movie in English, it felt impossible. The words were too fast, the accents too difficult. Still, the idea of working at a cruise ship never left his mind. He wanted to change his life, to see the world, to prove to himself that he could do it. One day, as he scrolled through job listings, he saw something that made his heart race. A company was hiring sales assistants for a luxury store on a cruise ship. It was exactly the opportunity he had dreamed of. There was just one catch: the entire job application and interview would be in English. Chapter 2: The Challenge of Learning English. Andrew stared at the job listing on his screen. Interview in English, he whispered to himself. His heart pounded. He wanted this job more than anything, but how could he pass an interview in a language he barely understood? For a moment, doubt crept in. He thought about giving up. But then, he imagined himself stepping onto the cruise ship for the first time, meeting people from different countries, selling luxury bags to international guests, and exploring the world. He couldn't let this opportunity slip away. Determined, he made a decision: he would learn English no matter what. At first, it was frustrating. He tried watching movies in English but couldn't understand anything. He played songs and looked up lyrics, but the words didn't make sense. Speaking was even harder. Every time he tried to say something, he felt embarrassed, afraid of making mistakes. But Andrew refused to quit. He created a daily routine. Every morning, he watched English videos with subtitles. During lunch breaks, he repeated phrases out loud, no matter how silly he felt. At night, he practiced speaking in front of a mirror. He even started thinking in English, forcing himself to describe his daily activities in simple sentences. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. Slowly he started recognizing words, then full sentences. His confidence grew. One day, he realized something incredible. He could understand an entire conversation without translating every word in his head. He wasn't fluent yet, but he was ready to take the next step. Chapter 3: The Opportunity Appears. One evening, after months of studying, Andrew received an email that made his hands tremble. It was from the cruise company. He had applied weeks ago, unsure if he would even get a response. Now there it was, an invitation for an interview. His excitement quickly turned into fear. The interview will be in English. What if I forget everything? What if they don't understand me? Doubt started creeping in again. But then, he reminded himself how far he had come. He wasn't the same person who struggled to understand basic phrases. He had worked hard for this moment. Determined, Andre prepared relentlessly. He practiced common interview questions in front of a mirror, recorded himself speaking, and listened to English podcasts every free moment he had. He even asked a friend who spoke English to help him with mock interviews. The night before the interview, he barely slept. His mind kept repeating English phrases over and over. Why do you want to work on a cruise ship? Tell us about yourself. What would you do if a customer had a complaint? When the morning came, he took a deep breath, looked at his reflection, and whispered, "You can do this." With his heart racing, he joined the video call. The screen flickered, and a recruiter appeared, smiling. "Hello, Andre. How are you today?" Andre swallowed hard. This was it. The moment he had been preparing for. I am fine, thank you," he replied, his voice shaking slightly. The interview had begun. Chapter 4. The Interview That Changed Everything. Andre felt his heartbeat in his ears. The recruiter smiled and continued, "So, Andre, tell me a little about yourself." This was the first real test. He had practiced this answer dozens of times. Taking a deep breath, he forced himself to smile and started speaking. "My name is Andre. I am from Brazil. I love meeting people, learning new things, and I want to work on a cruise ship to travel and grow in my career." His voice wasn't perfect, and he knew his accent was strong. But to his surprise, the recruiter nodded, listening attentively. The interview continued. The recruiter asked about his experience, his skills, and how he would handle different customer situations. Some questions were easy, but others made him hesitate. What would you do if a guest was unhappy with their purchase? For a moment, his mind went blank. He struggled to find the words. But instead of panicking, he took a deep breath and focused. "I would listen to the guest, understand the problem, and try to help. If needed, I asked my manager for support." It wasn't a perfect answer, but it showed he could handle problems professionally. The recruiter smiled. "That's a great approach, Andre." With each question, Andre felt more confident. His English wasn't flawless, but it was enough. He could communicate. He could do this. After what felt like an eternity, the recruiter finally said, "Thank you, Andre. We'll be in touch soon." As the call ended, Andre exhaled deeply. He had done it. The hardest part was over. Now all he could do was wait. Chapter 5. The Call That Changed His Life. The next few days felt like an eternity. Andre couldn't stop thinking about the interview. Every time his phone buzzed, his heart skipped a beat. Was it the call he had been waiting for? He tried to stay busy, practicing his English and working on his daily routine. But in the back of his mind, he couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty. What if they didn't choose him? What if his accent was too strong? Then, on the 4th day after the interview, it happened. His phone rang, and the screen showed a number he didn't recognize. "Hello, is this Andre?" The voice on the other end was clear, and Andre could hear a hint of excitement in it. "Yes, this is Andre," he replied, his hands suddenly cold. "Hi, Andre. This is Sarah from the cruise company. I'm calling to let you know that we would love to offer you the position as a sales assistant in our luxury store." Andre froze. For a moment, he couldn't believe what he had just heard. It took him a second to respond. "Are you serious, really?" he asked, his voice full of disbelief. Sarah laughed softly. "Yes, Andre, congratulations. We were impressed with your passion, your English, and your enthusiasm. We believe you'll be a great fit for the role." Andre couldn't contain his excitement. The dream he had worked so hard for, the dream that had once seemed impossible, was now within his reach. He thanked Sarah over and over, and as soon as the call ended, he jumped up and down, smiling uncontrollably. He had done it. He had proven to himself that with determination, anything was possible. Chapter 6. The First Day on the Ship. Andre boarded the cruise ship with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. It was his first day at work, and he was about to start a new chapter of his life. As he stepped onto the ship, he was amazed by how massive it was. The sparkling pools, the luxurious restaurants, the beautiful lounges, it was everything he had imagined and more. But there was one thing he hadn't fully prepared for: the fast-paced world of sales in a luxury store. He met his manager, Maria, a friendly woman who spoke with a perfect American accent. "Welcome to the team, Andre," she said warmly. "We'll start with a quick tour of the store and then dive right into your training." Maria showed him around the store, explaining how they sold high-end bags, watches, and jewelry to the guests. Andre was amazed by the variety of products, but what surprised him the most was how much English he needed to understand. At first, everything felt overwhelming. The guests spoke quickly, and Andre struggled to keep up. But Maria was patient with him. "Don't worry," she said. "You'll get the hang of it. Just listen, observe, and practice every day." During his first few interactions with customers, Andre felt nervous. His hands trembled slightly as he introduced himself. "Hi, my name is Andre. How can I assist you today?" he said, his accent still noticeable but improving with each sentence. To his surprise, the customers were kind. They smiled and nodded, and many of them even complimented his English. One woman from Spain stopped to chat with him, and they had a small conversation in Spanish about the products. It was a small victory, but it felt huge to Andre. By the end of his first day, he was exhausted but incredibly proud. He had survived his first day, and he had learned more than he ever thought possible. Chapter 7. The First Sail. A few days had passed since Andre started working on the cruise ship. Each day felt like a whirlwind: new faces, new challenges, and a new language to master. But there was one moment he would never forget: his first sail. It happened in the luxury store, right after lunch. The store was quieter than usual, and Andre was standing by the display of handbags, admiring the beautiful designs. That's when a guest approached. She was a middle-aged woman with elegant taste, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and dark sunglasses. She smiled at him as she walked over. "Excuse me, can you show me that bag over there?" she asked, pointing to a stunning leather bag on display. Andre's heart raced. This was his chance. He approached her confidently, remembering what Maria had taught him. "Of course, ma'am. This is one of our finest bags, crafted from premium leather. It's perfect for both day and night use." The woman nodded, inspecting the bag closely. "I like it," she said, smiling. "How much is it?" Andre swallowed nervously, but he remembered the price perfectly. It was something he had memorized during his training. "This bag is $1,200, ma'am. It's a great value for such high-quality craftsmanship." The woman looked at him for a moment, then smiled. "I'll take it." For a moment, Andre couldn't believe his ears. Had she really said that? Really? He asked, just to be sure. "Yes," she said, laughing softly. "I'll take it. You've sold me on it." Andre quickly rang up the sale, his hands trembling with excitement. As he handed her the bag, he felt a sense of pride like never before. This was real. He had just made his first sale. As the woman walked away with her purchase, Andre felt a rush of accomplishment. This was the moment he realized he belonged here. Chapter 8. New Friends, New Challenges. Andre had been aboard the cruise ship for several weeks now, and while the excitement of the new job hadn't worn off, he was starting to notice the challenges of life on board. The ship was docked in a beautiful port in Italy, but unlike the busy days at sea, there was no work for Andre while the stores were closed in port. He'd spent his days exploring the cities the ship visited, but there was something missing. The routine of work had given him purpose, and now, without it, he felt a bit out of place. On one of those rare days off, Andre met up with some fellow crew members in a cafe near the port. Claire, a fellow sales associate from Canada, was there, along with Liam from Ireland and Aisha from South Africa. They were chatting and laughing, enjoying the rare moment of downtime. "It's funny," Liam said, sipping his coffee. "When we're at sea, it feels like everything moves so fast. But when we're in port, it's like time slows down." "Yeah, I've been feeling the same way," Andre replied, nodding. "I've gotten so used to the rush of work that now I'm not sure what to do with myself." Asho smiled at him. "You're not alone in that. The first time I had a day off, I felt lost. But then I realized I can use this time to learn more, meet new people, or just relax. The ship's pace can be overwhelming, so it's important to take a break." Andre thought about her words. He had been so focused on his job and improving his English that he hadn't taken the time to enjoy the small things, like connecting with his fellow crew members. "Maybe I should try something new," he said thoughtfully. "I've been working hard, but it wouldn't hurt to enjoy the moment while I'm in a new place." The group agreed, and they spent the rest of the afternoon exploring the port together. Andre realized that even on his days off, there was so much to learn about the places he visited, about his co-workers, and about himself. Chapter 9. The Unexpected Connection. One evening, after a long day of work on board, Andre found himself walking around the upper deck of the ship, the cool breeze brushing against his face. The sun was setting, casting an orange glow over the vast ocean. He stopped for a moment, taking it all in, this beautiful life he had chosen, the adventure, the challenge, and the people he had met along the way. It had been a few months since he started working on the cruise ship, and Andre had begun to feel a sense of belonging. But even with the new friends he had made, there were still moments of loneliness. It wasn't just about missing home, but about understanding how to stay connected to his roots while embracing this fast-paced, constantly moving world. As he leaned on the railing, lost in thought, he was joined by Emma, a colleague from the housekeeping department. She had always been kind, but Andre had never spent much time talking to her outside of their work shifts. "Hey, Andre," she said, smiling warmly. "The view here is incredible, right?" "Yeah, it's amazing." "I don't think I'll ever get used to it," Andre replied. He paused for a moment, then added, "Sometimes it feels a little lonely, though, you know? We're surrounded by people, but it's still hard to connect sometimes." Emma nodded, her expression softening. "I get that. This life can be tough, especially when you're so far from home. But we have each other, right? And we're all going through the same thing." Her words struck a chord with Andre. It wasn't just the vast ocean or the new cities they visited that made the experience so unique. It was the shared journey of working on the ship. They were all in it together. "Yeah, you're right," he said, feeling a little lighter. "It helps to know that I'm not alone in this." They stood in silence for a while, watching the waves crash against the ship. Andre felt a new sense of connection, not just to the crew but to the life he was building. He was starting to realize that even in the most unexpected places, there were bonds being formed, and he wasn't as alone as he once thought. Chapter 10. A New Beginning. The Journey Continues. As the days passed, Andre found himself standing at the edge of the ship once again, staring out at the horizon. The world seemed endless yet full of possibilities. He had come so far from the day he first stepped on the cruise ship with nothing but his dreams, $2,000 in his pocket, and the belief that learning English would change his life. Now, as he looked back, he could hardly recognize the person he was when he first arrived. He had grown, not just as a worker, but as a person. He had learned not only English, but how to connect with others, how to push through moments of doubt, and how to embrace the unknown. He remembered the times when he thought about giving up, when he felt like the language barrier was too big to overcome, or when the loneliness seemed unbearable. But he pushed through, kept learning, and found strength in every challenge. "This is just the beginning," Andre whispered to himself, a smile spreading across his face. "The world is so much bigger than I ever imagined." Andre had discovered that learning English wasn't just about mastering a language. It was about opening doors to new opportunities, to new connections, and to a new version of himself. His journey was far from over, and there was so much more to experience. He was excited to see where this adventure would take him next. As he walked back to his cabin, ready for the next day of work and the next adventure, Andre couldn't help but feel proud of how far he had come. Andre's journey has been one of determination, growth, and resilience, but this story doesn't end here. Just like Andre, you can overcome challenges and turn your dreams into reality. If you've been inspired by Andre's story, now it's your turn. Let us know in the comments, what's one thing you've learned today that's going to help you in your own journey? Or maybe you have your own story of overcoming challenges and learning a new language. We want to hear from you. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and motivates us to bring you even more inspiring stories. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another exciting story that could change your life. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Turn on notifications too, so you're always the first to know when we post a new video. Together we can learn, grow, and make our dreams a reality. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.